Hi there, this is Irk, and this is my channel, Get Irked, where I teach you how to invest for the long term. Before we get started, please smash that like button and hit subscribe. I really appreciate all my subscribers. You're helping me grow. Thank you so much. Today I wanted to try something a little bit different. It might turn into a series over the long term depending on how you receive it. I'm going to look at my investments over the long term and talk about the moves that I did to get us where we are today. For the inaugural episode, we're going to be looking at Canopy Growth Corporation, ticker symbol CGC. Canopy Growth is the leader in the space when it comes to recreational cannabis, but since the United States hasn't legalized it on the federal level, it's under a lot of pressure right now. As always, I'm not a professional, and you should consult with a professional before taking part in any of the strategies I talk about in any of my videos. You're about to see how much of a non-professional I am when we look at this investment specifically. Canopy Growth is a Canadian-based company, so it initially started trading in Canada. I didn't get into CGC until it became public in the United States in May of 2018. So we'll go to the chart so I can show you exactly what I've done over the 3 years since I've held Canopy Growth. And I'll also tell you a little bit about my plan for what to do in the future when we keep going. Let's get started. So as I said, I bought Canopy Growth initially on May 24th, 2018. My first buy was at $29.53. So my share price was $29.53. And naturally, I didn't have a P&L at this time. So let's see where Canopy Growth went from there. And there we go, we stop at my second buy, which was on July 24th, exactly 2 months after my first buy, where I bought it at $24.51. This lowered my share price to $26.70, a change of negative 9.58%, and I now had a profit and loss of negative 8.2% since it's lower than when I bought it. On August 8th, I had my first sell at $27.24. I had gotten a little overweight when I did my second buy, and I wanted to lighten it up when it popped again. And so it reduced my share cost to $26.22. A mild reduction of 1.8%, and at this point I only had a profit of 3.89%. It didn't take very long, less than a week in fact, where Canopy Growth had a pretty significant drop, so I replaced the shares that I sold here at $24.66 on the 14th. This gave me a per share cost of $25.44, a further reduction of 2.97%, and at this point, it was down 3.07%. All of the values in this video are calculated based on the low of the day, not the close of the day, so they might be lower than they actually were at the time. After August 14th, news broke that Canopy Growth was going to have an investor, and it came out that it was Constellation Brands, ticker symbol STZ. Constellation Brands literally put billions of dollars in Canopy Growth, which started the whole cannabis trend in 2018, and everything went off to the races. On August 20th, I made my second sell at $36.68. This reduced my per share cost by 21.54% down to $19.96, and gave me a profit and loss of 83.77%. After making my second sell, I let Canopy run for a while, and you can see that it eventually made its all-time high at $59.25 before pulling back pretty substantially. It made a low down here at $25.26, a drop of more than 50% from its high. From there, Canopy jumped all the way up near its all-time high, at which point I decided I would take some profits. So I made my third sell at $48.14. It reduced my per share cost to $14.48, a further reduction of 27.45%, and left me with a profit and loss, a profit of 232.46%. And this is when the bottom fell out. As you can see, Canopy kind of found support for a while, but then as we moved into 2019, it lost support. In fact, the entire industry kind of lost appeal. People thought that it had gotten too high too fast, pun intended. My fourth buy was at $26.90, which raised my per share cost to $16.68. This is an increase of 15.19%, but I still had a profit of 61.27% over my per share cost, so I thought I was doing well. And we went into October. On October 2nd, I made my fifth buy at $20.76, which raised my per share cost to $17.80, an increase of 6.71%, and gave me a profit and a loss of 15.28%. But Canopy wasn't done selling off. On November 14th of 2019, I made my sixth buy at $15.66. This lowered my per share cost 2.42% down to $17.37, and at this point I now had a loss of 12.55%. After that, you can kind of see that Canopy sort of bottomed, until the 2020 sell-off. During the pandemic sell-off in March, I made my first buy of the pandemic, my 7th buy in Canopy Growth, at $12.94. This lowered my per share cost by 8.46%, giving me a per share cost of $15.90, and I was down 19.18%. 3 days later, I made my 8th buy at $11.22. This lowered my per share cost 7.36% to $14.73, and now I was down 26.21%. On a matter of sheer luck, I was able to make a buy on March 19th, which was when Canopy bottomed at $9. My 9th buy went through at $9.34, which lowered my per share cost to $13.49, a reduction of 8.42%, but you can see I was down 33.28% at this point. After it bottomed in March, Canopy kind of meandered around, sort of saw some increase in its value, but it didn't really do much for all of 2020. It wasn't until early 2021 where it really took off. So on February 3rd of 2021, I decided I was going to sell all the initial capital that I had in the position. So I did my 4th sell at $43.81, which reduced my per share cost down to negative $1.25. What that means is every share in my position cost me nothing, and instead added $1.25 to my bottom line in addition to the value of the shares. This reduction in my per share cost was 131.65%, leaving me with a profit of 760.47%, which is calculated based on what the initial investment was. In other words, at this point, the position was worth more than 7.5 times the initial amount of money I put into it at the beginning. It was after this point that the shorts took back over and Canopy started its way down. On April 14th of 2021, I did my 10th buy at $27.70. I thought we might find support above the 200-day moving average, so I thought this might not be too soon. This buy did put capital back into my position and gave me a per share cost of a positive $1.95, which is an increase of $3.20 per share since I was at a negative $1.25 in my last sell. At this point, my profit and loss was up 1,307% above the $1.95 per share cost. This is why in my investments in play, I often use the percentage cost of the initial investment instead of the current per share cost, because that's just an unrealistic profit margin and doesn't accurately represent where the position stands. After April, the sell-off continued, and in July, I decided to make an additional buy on July 6th at $22.85, which increased my per share cost to $2.50, an increase of 55 cents, and gave me a profit of 810%, and Canopy was still not done selling off. On July 27th, I made my 12th buy at $19.16, which increased my per share cost to $3.50, up $1, and I now had a 415% gain. On August 12th, I made my 13th buy at $18.50, raising my per share cost to $4.05, another 55-cent jump, and giving me a profit of 355%. And then just earlier this week, on September 8th, I made my 14th buy at $16.40, raising my per share cost to $4.70, a 65-cent increase, and leaving me with a profit of 242.55%. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like Canopy Growth is done going down, because the day after I bought, it dropped even further. But as I always say, I always have a plan for my investments in advance. So my next buy will be down here at $14, a previous point of support, followed by an additional buy at $10.35 and another buy at $9. Now I'm being careful with all my buys to make sure that the quantities I use don't raise my per share cost above the low from the pandemic. So even at the pandemic low, my per share cost will probably be around $6. However, that being said, I never take a previous low for granted. Is it possible that Canopy Growth can break through the $9 mark? Absolutely. So accordingly, I have even more buys planned for the future. My thesis for Canopy Growth is that the federal government in the United States will one day legalize cannabis. In addition to all the states already legalizing cannabis, it is such a source of revenue for state and federal taxes that I don't see it as something that anyone will leave on the table, since Congress has created a deficit so huge that we have to find new revenue sources in order to pay it off. Is it possible that Canopy Growth could go bankrupt? Absolutely, and because of this, it has a limited allocation size in my portfolio, and I'm prepared to lose that amount entirely. If you like this video and want to see more, check out my investments in play at getirk.com and let me know which ones you'd like to see me do. In the meantime, watch this playlist with more investment ideas. Thank you for watching. Please hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.